Oh, yeah, you know,
Well, this is Rick Bucher. This is Will Blackmon, who actually won a Super Bowl with the New York Giants, donning the Super Bowl ring, as you will see on that index finger. So glad to have you here, Will. Nobody better to talk about this Saquon Barkley situation than a player who played on the team that he is currently at odds with and who won a Super Bowl with the team that Saquon wants to win a Super Bowl with. Should Saquon Barkley sit out this season?
Absolutely not. He shouldn't sit out, and I don't think he will sit out simply because just the type of person, the competitor he is. And I understand that it's tough right now because he is trying to get a certain number, but I would say he was offered, multiple contracts earlier this year. He was offered, $13.04 with the first 2 years guaranteed. But when it comes down to this whole thing, it's truly about who can get this contract done. It's not so much, yes, the running back position has been depreciated for decades.
Yep.
Like, it's not so much like, oh, it's hard for running backs to get paid. It's always been difficult to get paid. It's a matter of which agent can make it happen. That's truly.
But he switched agencies in the middle of negotiation, and from what I was told,
point, yeah.
Yes, from what I was told, they were like, look, I don't care who your representation is. This is our offer. You can be represented by John Slick, Will, or Acho. We ain't budging.
But but it still matters who is representing, because who's able to make it happen. It's kind of like, let's use this analogy, like at the club, there's a pretty girl in the club. Which guy can actually negotiate to get her out? Right? Mm-hmm. It's in this situation, that's probably why he switched representation, because maybe someone else is able to make that happen. That's been a problem across the board.
Or they said they were able to make it happen.
Well, they got to start somewhere.
Okay, but if you have deals on the table, ultimately with more guaranteed money than you wind up. I mean, if I change agents because I don't like what's already on the table, and then I end up with I don't know if it's $10 million as a booby prize, but it certainly wasn't what I was after. It was the last element. Yeah. Then I don't know how you could say that changing agents was a successful move.
Do you think, given the lack of success, because Saquon wanted that long-term deal, should he, Slick, sit out this season? This is his last major weapon that he can use, grenade that he can launch, so to speak, is sitting out the season, showing the Giants who they are without him. Should he consider doing it?
I don't see how that serves him. Would the Giants be compromised without him? Without question, right? They're not the same team. But does it gain him any leverage by sitting out the entire year? First of all, you're not playing football for an entire year, right? You are losing $10 million that could be going into your bank. True. Are you going to make that back up over the course of your career? I take encouragement from the tweet. It is what it is.
Really?
Yes. Because it ain't Chris Paul going, "You the coach?" It's not an automatic "I'm out" or "I'm not happy." It's
like, we tried.
It's sort of resignation for where things are. Now, I would hope that at some point, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, he gets to a place where he says, you know what, let's just go get it.
Sure.
Right? He's not there now, obviously, but he's not as far away as I thought he could be.
But here's the dilemma, Will. You played, I believe, 12 years in the National Football League. You know how valuable a mood is when one shows up to practice, one. Number two, you also know how valuable showing up to practice is. I saw a report as I was walking on stage that Saquon allegedly will report to camp. It's a matter of when. Mm-hmm. Will, if you miss training camp practices, you can't get in football shape, because the only way to get in football shape is to play football.
No question.
So I don't know if Saquon Barkley can afford to have an "it is what it is" mindset. Not when the Jets are reporting to practice next week and they hungry. They chomping at the bit. Hall of Fame game is on the docket. Not when you have NFL players who are like, let's get it going, I can't wait for the season. And then you have Saquon, it is what it is. What aspect do you think that if Saquon is going to commit to the season, he needs to be there day one?
What aspect needs to happen?
Yes. Do you believe that is the case, or he can kind of miss camp, be very nonchalant?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, sure, you can look at it as, like you said, a positive thing in terms of his tweet, or, like you said, you want a different mood, or he couldn't have said anything at all. Mm-hmm. Like, I thought there was no reason to put anything out on Twitter-wise. But I think he's going to show up. You know, he's going to probably do something conditioned. Maybe he doesn't practice. I'm sure he's going to be there. And again, that's just because of who he is. And plus, too, like, he's part of, like, the culture. The Giants are trending upward in terms of what they're building over there. So, Yeah, I mean, I think he said it is what it is because they tried to get something done sooner. It just didn't happen.
This is where the character of Saquon Barkley works against him, because he is a guy who is going to show up, who's going to play hard. The idea, I don't see any way in which Saquon Barkley half steps in his preparation for the season, because ultimately it's what he wants to accomplish. I just don't see him undermining both the team and himself to make a point about what? That you didn't get what you wanted? Look, I don't know him personally. The impression that I get of him is that he's an extremely intelligent, mature young man.
Of course.
Right? And is dedicated to his craft.
Yeah.
You may not get what you want, but it's really hard when you take pride in your work to say, I am going to work less efficiently or effectively in order to let everybody know that I'm unhappy.
Well, I was thinking to myself, he made the right decision joining the Titans. Now, not because the Titans were the best team he could have joined.
Right.
If you wanted to join the best team, join the Chiefs, join the Bills. If you wanted to join the best team, maybe even consider joining the Baltimore Ravens. But if you want to maintain relevancy as a superstar wide receiver, join a team that needs you most. And the Tennessee Titans are the team that needs DeAndre Hopkins most. Their leading receiver last year, I believe, was Robert Woods, with just north of 500 yards receiving. And then a tight end, and then their first-round pick, their one-was pick last year in Traylon Burks, I believe his name is, wide receiver out of Arkansas, if I am not mistaken. And so D-Hop will go to Tennessee, and there will be no discretion over who the number one player is. You go to Buffalo, Stephon Diggs. You go to KC, Travis Kelce. But in Tennessee, it's all you, D-Hop. Will, what do you make of D-Hop joining the Titans? Was it the right decision?
Yeah, I think it was a really good decision. It was the right decision just for him, because I think for him, it is based on comfort. And I say this because, yes, he was in Houston, and we all know how it went down in Houston. And then he goes to Arizona. There's a lot of disarray in the front office of Arizona and just overall with the whole team. And so I think he wanted to go somewhere where he was comfortable. Obviously, he knows Vrabel from being in Houston. There's a new general manager there who has fresh eyes, and he is one of his signings. So the GM's not going to go anywhere.
Yep.
And also, too, right, not only am I going to be the dude, but every week, teams are going to load the box to stop a running back, and I'm going to have opportunity. Now, obviously, the glaring thing is like, well, who's throwing me the football?
That part.
With D-Hop, the cool thing is it really doesn't matter who's throwing him the football. But I think overall, I'm saying for him, he's that talented. For him. Rick, I don't like the head thing. Anyhow, I just think for him overall, he just wants to be somewhere where he can trust people around him and he's comfortable. And I think that's where he made the decision.
I'm with you 100% that he made the right decision. I mean, look, he got paid. I don't know that he would get he's not getting $26 million for 2 years anyplace else, right? And he's automatically the wide receiver one. But I don't know if he's still a wide receiver one. And I don't know if Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback to get it to him. Like, I think when we first saw Tannehill rise up in Tennessee, we were thinking that maybe he made A.J. Brown. And now I'm wondering whether A.J. Brown made Tannehill, because that was when he was at his best, right? We saw Julio Jones go in there. Did he, have a huge impact? Did Tannehill have a huge impact on Julio Jones? I wouldn't say that. So I think it was the right decision because he gets the most money, and he's not just... The Bills and the Chiefs, to me, were interested.
Yep.
The Titans and the Patriots wanted him.
Yeah.
Right.
And now he goes to the better of the two teams that wanted him, and he gets paid. That's why it's a great decision.
Right.
Do I think that he's going to have that he's going to have more success in Tennessee than he would have in Kansas City or Buffalo?
Success.
Maybe individually, but not team success.
Correct.
Right?
I think that is what's so interesting about the situation, fellas, is because when you turn 30 at a skill position in the National Football League and you're a free agent, you have a decision to make. Do I want to go win a championship, or do I want to go individually ball? We've seen two players do it differently. I think about Brandon Marshall. When he turned 30, he had an opportunity to join the New York Jets. The New York Jets were terrible. But B. Marsh went to New York and had 1,500 receiving yards. I think about D. Jack, a former teammate of mine, Deshaun Jackson. When he became a free agent trying to figure out where he wanted to go, he signed with the Bucks, the pre-Tom Brady Bucks. But he led the NFL in receiving yards per catch. Like, D. Jack still ended up being a dude. When he went to the Rams, and they didn't need him, Will, all of a sudden, he was an afterthought. He wasn't even playing in games, not even getting targeted. And then he forewent winning a Super Bowl with the Rams and said, you know what, let me just go to Vegas. Let me go to Raiders, where at least I'm going to get some touches. DeAndre Hopkins is making the best decision for his brand. Not his team success, but his brand.
Well, that's what I'm curious from the both of you is, do you think that DeAndre needs another great individual season? Or do you think if he was part of, like OBJ going to the Rams, if you're part, maybe you're not wide receiver one, but you're part of a team that goes to the Super Bowl or goes certainly farther than D-Hop ever has in the postseason, that would do more for his brand or his image than simply going and having, like, proving once again to doubters like me, no, I am a wide receiver one, but he's not, like, it's maybe one and out when you get to the postseason.
Well, again, I think it came down to the two teams. So I can understand where, okay, Buffalo was interested and Kansas City was interested, but me, I'm just looking at the two teams. So it was better.
The Patriots and Tennessee.
You're not thinking that those were serious.
But assume to Slick's question.
There was some,
because I do believe there was interest from the Chiefs and from the Bills. Is D-Hop better off going to a team that you know will go further in the playoffs more than likely, but not having as much individual success, playing maybe receiver two to Stephon Diggs, Travis Kelce, or going to Tennessee, having another 1,000-yard season, but maybe you win the AFC South, or maybe you don't even make the playoffs? What's better for D-Hop?
It probably came down to what he wanted the most, and he probably wanted to get paid in this situation. Otherwise, guys who are looking for that situation, they are going to take less and go to a team like me. If I'm a free agent and I have interest from Kansas City, I'm in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Well, you want me to take like 5 less? No problem for me. I made money. So now let me come to this team and get the ring on my resume at the age of 30. And then after that, let me go ahead and go somewhere else and get paid again. And then I can just play my career and pad my stats.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.